Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video and a really exciting car in the garage today, I think. The Touring Arese RH95 you see here. Now, this has just landed in the UK because all this week coming up is Salon Prive, and this car is about to get its world premiere at Salon Prive tomorrow. But before it goes off there, I've been given the chance to give you a tour around the car and take it out for a quick drive as well. Now, you might remember if you've been watching Harry's Garage around this time last year, there was the Aero 3 that was from Touring. That was here as well. That was a spectacular car, I thought. Front engine, V12, and that sort of dorsal fin on the back, a bit like the Jaguar D-Type and things. Well, this is basically this year's model, and this is the very first car they've built. They've got 2 more in build. They're going to do 18 in all, and it's an all carbon fibre construction and very coach built. Touring Superleggera, based in Milan, and they pride themselves on doing these bespoke sort of one-off bodies. They're quite, I mean, the history file is well worth looking at their website. All the cars they used to do for Ferrari, for Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, 8C, just extraordinary back catalogue. And Superleggera name comes from this construction they came up with, this tubular metal construction with the aluminium wrapped round it. That's where you see Superleggera and all sorts of cars in the past. Now they're doing these coach-built cars. They've sort of reinvented themselves in 2006. Disco Volante, that Alfa Romeo, Jeremy Clarkson took it up in the hills in Italy, I can remember, seeing it at Geneva as well. Limited run cars for individuals who like something extra special for them, bespoke, etc. Anyway, this is the car, and now you probably think, well, what is this car? I'm sort of skirting around what it's based on. Or they don't like to name the manufacturer that basically is underneath this skin. What they say in the press release, I see, all examples of the Touring Arese RH95 will be built around the chassis and drivetrain of a well-known exotic mid-engine donor car. And that's all they say. All I can tell you now is a twin-turbo V8 engine in the back, 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, and produces 720 horsepower. That's probably enough clues to give you an idea what it is. Anyway, let's go and have a closer look. What actually impressed me most about this car is it is completely bespoke from right front to the tail. There is no panel from this donor car, Italian donor car, that we can't mention. It is all done by Touring, and they are trying to pick out elements that are recognisable as on this series. So we've got this sort of, it looks like a grille, but it isn't really. It's an air intake, but it's blind there, and it actually shoots air up here. That was also on that Aero 3 as well. I didn't like the Aero 3 that had a little badge there. This hasn't. This looks much cleaner to me. And the radiators are actually this side of it. That's where the air is going in and feeding some radiators around there. I do like this flash of aluminium. That will come apparent as we walk round the car. And the headlights are clever, just a single headlight. We're going to lift the clamshell in a moment, but quite a clever design element there, I think, going on. Vents above the wheel arch as well. And then Touring, the first time they've done their own design of wheel. I don't know, I think it's a terrific design, the way it's bi-metal, is it here? This has been picked out here. But yeah, a dedicated wheel on this one, and there's that aluminium flash coming along here. Really neat coach line to me, finishing in Superleggera here. I should have actually mentioned the Superleggera badges, the traditional badges on here. Superleggera means lightweight. That's what that was all about. Touring is actually the manufacturer name, as it were. Superleggera, lightweight. Come further around, and then very dominant is this scoop, roof scoop, that I thought was actually feeding the engine, but intake, as it were. But no, it's actually feeding air into the engine compartment. The engine actually breathes through here and then feeds its intercoolers on this side. The other thing you ought to spot on here is a window, sort of in the door. But the donor car has conventional doors, not so on this one. If we keep that aluminium strip coming along here, and a really nice finish, that is the door handle. And the doors are dihedral doors. Take a huge amount of engineering to do dihedral doors. And then there's more sort of detailed delights in here. This is what Superleggera construction was, with this tubular look and then aluminium around it. So they've done this as a detail, as a hark back to their Superleggera past. There's a little badge on there that says Superleggera. Keep coming around here, and then there's this great big clamshell. huge construction, and I think the visibility on my Countach is bad. Well, look at the windows on here, and you basically can't see at all into the cabin. But that's okay, because they put a camera down here. And if you're wondering why there's two, well, one's a reversing camera and the other one feeds your rear view mirror, conventional. So that's sort of on all the time, and then the reversing one comes on with all the details of where you're going to back into a car space or something. Then another detail from Touring on this series, just like the Aero 3, they have this great big sort of exhaust, oblong shape, but long portrait mode rather than landscape to either side, and then this panel that finishes off. Fantastic LEDs, we see them in action. I'll put the hazard flashes on the brake light so you can see all that happening there. And also on this one, that scoop actually has a fan in it that then blows air over here. So it's doing trick aero stuff I don't quite understand for super high speed, and it means it doesn't need a sort of rear spoiler or anything here. It can be completely clean and rely on that rear diffuser to do all aerodynamics. Right, what I'm going to do now is lift the clamshells up and have a look underneath. What, again, I can't get over on this car, it's just the finish. Look at this sort of hidden panel. It looks like huge multinational sort of manufacturer constructed this inner panel here. It looks completely finished. And again, this donor car, the Italian donor car with a twin turbo V8, there is no sign on the engine of where it might have come from, but you can probably guess by looking at it from there. So you get a glass screen, so you actually see the engine, I think, from inside the cockpit. So that scoop on the roof, it then blows air down here. And I'm told in traffic, when it gets hot, you hear the fan start up, and it really pumps air through this area and out through the exhaust as well. Right, let's go and open the front up. And there's really quite a big space under here. And this being a very bespoke car, you can see all the signatures, the people who built this car. And this is car number 1 of 18. They're going to build 18 of these Arese in total. Big space in here. I quite like these bags. These aren't really show bags, but it's just, they've brought some things over for the Salon Prive brochure and stuff. But that is a big hole in there. The other things of note under here, again, this beautiful inner panel that is beautifully done. It just looks as though they're going to build 100,000 of them, not just 18, how they've done this. And then how the headlights actually shine through these holes in the bonnet. Just a single lens there that's actually on the inner wing rather than on the bonnet itself. Now, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take it outside and I'll show you around the interior and I will take it for a drive. Oh, it's pretty special in here, so I thought I might just leave that door open for the time being. The sort of dual tone going on in here. It's a darker brown on the passenger side and I get a lighter tan side on the driver's side. I'm met with this donor car name on the dash here, which we can't discuss, we'll go on to in a moment, but some things look familiar. There are indicators on the wheel and things like that. And then this sort of space above my head, you cannot ignore the door and the way that Superleggera sort of tubular handle is there to put it closed. There we go. And then it really, yeah, comes around here. They remind me of McLaren F1 doors. Yellow seat belts, there's flashes of yellow. I mean, everything is bespoke on this car. And this lovely sign down here saying number 1 of 8 series of 18. So the colour combination, when you're in this sort of world, is utterly up to you, and this is what owner of number 1 wanted in his car, and I'm not going to criticise because it is all rather lovely. Oh, yeah, there's a key as well, there's a colour-coded key as you'd imagine, there we are, lovely green key with Arese RH95 on it. Right, shall we get going? Just fairly obvious. Oh yeah, it's a black and white photo of outside. It was in colour, so maybe if it's low light it goes to black and white. That is a permanent TV camera looking back. You see puffs of white smoke when I do that as well. Arese RH95. 95, I haven't told you that. That's how long the company's been going since inception, Touring Superleggera. Well, touring as it was started. So what I'm going to do now is head out on to some of my favourite roads, and you will be joining me later there. feels reasonably familiar behind the steering wheel, but yeah, it's good underpinnings. Quite a vocal engine. There we are. Sure, I know that sound. I just can't quite picture which one it is. I'm sure I know. Interesting, I've just heard that fan start up in the back, so it must be getting a bit of engine temperature, so heat around the engine from the exhaust stuff, and you hear it whirling away, putting air around the engine. It does make me wonder what people make of this from the outside, because they really won't recognise it at all. They purely have to judge it just on the shape and what's going past them. What is that? No one will be saying, oh, that's the Touring Arese RH95. Of course it is. Oh, that's the green one. The next one that's going to be is going to be red, and then there's one coming in golf colours, dear. I can't see that ever happening. Where do you get one of these on the street? I thought there'd be a bit more sound from the road because it's carbon fibre bodied, but actually it feels just as refined as a normal donor car. And also just because there's great visibility out for something so bespoke, it all feels sort of vaguely normal but high quality in here. But it's time to give it a little bit of exercise coming out of Burford. Third, wake these turbos up. Yeah, a good sound. Definitely plenty of horsepower available. I'm not going to use it all because I'm looking at the kilometres on this car, and it's 777 kilometres from new. So it's not the time to visit the outer ends of its performance envelope, especially before it gets its world premiere tomorrow at Salon Prive. Now see why they fitted that little triangle window up there. You can just allows you just to see past the door, and off we go. Right, it's just a bumpy bit of road, but I have a bumpy button on here. It's amazing how vocal they've made that turbo engine. When you think of just, it is a very good sound they've created out of this. It's better than Roma. Oh, I've given away the manufacturer. How did I do that? Let's try it through here. Here's the compression. Yeah, no grounding out or anything nasty going on there. Oh, I love the quick steering on it. And that amount of torque, it throws you down the road. Oh. Yeah, as I expected, it feels pretty special down here. Yeah, it's funny, I didn't realise in Touring's history they say this is their first mid-engine car, but yeah, very nice thing this. There's a little bit more wind rustle. I think it's that scoop. If you get to sort of, should we say, motorway speeds, I can just hear a little rustle of air noise around, a bit of background sound, I think, just a bit of rustle around some of the extremities of this car. Anyway, as ever, I feel it's only right to do likes and dislikes on this car, as I do on every car I review. And I'll start with the dislikes. And the number one dislike is it's such a fabulous car, and the donor car is fabulous as well. I hate having to dance around what the donor car is, but I know that's the way they have to deal with the donor manufacturer in question. But you know, with the Disco Volante, there was no dancing around about the Alfa Romeo name, but there is with this car. Anyway, that one. Another dislike, I sort of wish that snorkel was actually the air intake for the engine. So I had a little bit of sound sort of coming from up there, like you get on the McLaren F1, and a little bit with well, other McLarens, and the I think of back to Pagani days, and the Cinque had that air scoop. It was an opportunity missed, I would have thought, by not having the engine breathe through that snorkel up there. And also the snorkel, you can definitely hear some wind noise, definitely generates some wind noise, and you can hear that fan whirling away, especially when you stop in traffic or something like that. It's a bit like a Hoover going all the time. which could get annoying at times. The likes are a whole lot easier. Number one, I think, is just sheer quality. When you're only building 18 cars, to have that level of finish, to have those under panels beneath the main bodywork just looking pure mass production quality, that's a hell of an achievement from Touring. But then when I was talking to, I just love this through here. Out we go on the other side. Talking to Touring, I didn't realise how much B2B they do. So they do actually create quite a number of bespoke cars for other manufacturers back at base. So they have two strings to their business, the B2B business and B2C to customers, and doing these sort of cars as well. And I think that's why it's so well finished underneath the skin, and it's equally well finished on top. And just those details of design, that use of aluminium on the door, I think is magical. And also, there's no getting away from it, the donor car they chose is a spectacularly good one, and that enhances the proposition as well. Now, the one thing I haven't mentioned yet is the price. Yes, the price is quite a lot. They don't quote a direct price. What they say to you when I quiz them, there's 5,000 hours of work that goes into one of these cars to do an RH95. 5,000 man hours of artisans in Milan putting this car together. That is not cheap. You would not have a lot of change from €1 million the time you've done the final spec on your car. And interestingly, the Aero 3, the one I tested last year with the V12 engine and that dorsal fin, bit like D-type out the back, that actually takes 500 less hours to build than this car, because the dihedral doors just add that complication to it. So there's no escaping, it's a lot of money. But look what you get. You get a one of 18 artisan, avant-garde, coach sport cars that can be sold, I think, worldwide. And with the backing of Touring, they're going to say all parts are available for lifetime of the car. Really interesting proposition, I think. I love it's not a pastiche of the past. It's modern, it's carbon fibre and not electric. And it's where the Concours events used to happen in the 20s and 30s when we got these bespoke cars. And I love that it actually seems to be an industry that's growing in this age of modernisation and electric washing machine car type cars. This industry is alive and kicking, and I think that's to be celebrated around the world. So yeah, really enjoyed my time with this car. I hope you've enjoyed this video as well. If you have, well, please keep watching, keep subscribing, because there'll be more videos coming along very soon.